Hello, this is Chris Hunter. We're doing today a video on CNN, the fake news network, or the Clinton News Network, whichever one you like to use, and the failing New York Times. This is in response to President Trump's May 30th tweets about the FBI and the CIA having informants infiltrate his campaign to try and find there might be collusion in there somewhere. They must find it out and see who might be working with the Russians. Yes? But there's none. Anyways, that's what it's about. They allude that the president is crazy and pushing conspiracy theories, and we'll address some of those points, but they never do address the issues about how that's spying on your political enemies, and there was no probable cause for doing that in any way, shape, or form, among other things. What you're about to see is my opinion, and my opinion only. Please come to your own opinion by watching the misinformation put out by the mainstream media and the real information being put out. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Check the boxes, the bells, the alerts, all that kind of fun stuff. Likes, dislikes, and keep your arms, feet, and head inside the ride at all times. Have a good time. I'll see you real soon.
This video is in response to allegations made by writer Maggie Haberman of the New York Times and CNN News anchors Berman and Alysin Camerota. Broadcast dated May 30, 2018. Where Haberman alleged that the president has and continues to push and promote conspiracy theories and lies. She further insinuated that President Donald J. Trump believes everything he will see on the internet and Fox News. She further insinuates he is unable to use his mental faculties to know the difference between a fictional story and a factual report. CNN anchors Berman and Alysin Camerota both insult Americans by saying they are unable to control their emotions and display a reckless abandonment of truth while not even competent enough to do a single Google search to verify the legitimacy of the topic.
All right, we do have some breaking news. A new statement by the president on the Russia investigation. He did this on Twitter. He's quoting a conservative journalist here. This is what he says. This investigation involved far more surveillance than we ever had any idea about. It wasn't just a wiretap against a campaign aide. It was secretly gathering information on the Trump campaign. People call that spying. This is unprecedented and scandalous, the president quotes. Joining us to discuss this, CNN political analyst, White House correspondent for the New York Times, Maggie Haberman. Maggie,
well, I'm going to stop this early, and I'm going to play the clips before the CNN knucklehead or the failing New York Times person says their stupid line. So you can see the facts before they say the lie. How about that? I think that'll be fun. All right.
Upon close examination of the evidence, we are prepared today to say we believe probable cause exists indicating that forgery and fraud may have been committed, not only in President Obama's long-form birth certificate, but more disturbing evidence suggests that another fraud may have been committed regarding his selected service registration card. Based on all of the evidence presented and investigated, I cannot, in good faith, report to you that these documents are authentic. These are two alleged crimes, forgery and fraud. Those responsible, whoever they are, should be brought to justice. I don't care who they are, and if I'm being criticized for enforcing the law on felonies, there's something wrong.
Just so happens you have a story in the Times today about the president and his love, addiction, one might say.
Trafficking in.
Conspiracy theories.
Right. We saw going back to the campaign, and before that, beginning with birtherism, which was a blatant lie about where the president of the United States at the time, Barack Obama, was born and whether he was a citizen and therefore whether he was legitimate. We have known for a very long time that Donald Trump likes to traffic in conspiracy theories. He's now doing it from the Oval Office, which is incredibly different. He is elevating everything he says, everything that he says that isn't confirmed, everything he says that is a suspicion of his, everything that is sort of a churn in right-wing media that he then pushes back out there into the ecosystem. He is putting a stamp of legitimacy on, and the real concern for his critics, and some not critics, is that it is further eroding trust in institutions.
Hello there, fake stream media. You might want to watch your ass right now because you're treading on subversion and sedition there. And that's what happens when you cross the line and you use words that are lies and undermine the authority of the presidency and the government of the United States. But if that's what you want to do, feel free to step on out there and cross that line because there's plenty of rope in America. Step on up, folks.
Subversive, an act or thing intended or intending to subvert, undermine, or overthrow an established or existing system, especially regarding a legally established government or belief system. Sedition. The term sedition refers to overt conduct that excites people to rebel against their government. This may include making speeches or distributing any writings with this goal in mind. Sedition by individuals in the South is what started America's Civil War. Sedition is against both federal and state laws and can lead to criminal charges that are quite severe. To explore this concept, consider the following sedition definition. Definition of sedition: speech or conduct that incites people to rebel against a lawful authority. Inciting people to rebel or resist governmental authority.
It is very different. It was difficult when he was doing this as a candidate. We had never seen a Republican nominee or any party, major party nominee, do what he was doing. To do it from the Oval Office is extremely different, and it is having an effect. And sometimes he knows what he's doing is not true. Sometimes it's not clear that he knows what he's doing is not true. The net effect is the same, which is that it serves some political end of his. In this case, suggesting that he was the victim of politically motivated spying, as he puts it.
To be perfectly clear, he's 100% right. And you're blowing smoke up the public's butt. You're lying again, media. God, you guys are full of crap. Man. And here you go. Here's the proof. Boo.
Counterintelligence, Peter Strzok has been demoted and reassigned. FBI counsel Lisa Page demoted and reassigned. What did all these fired, demoted, and reassigned people do while they were in the Obama administration? They're the ones who ran the Clinton investigation, and they're the ones who launched an investigation into President Trump's campaign. And when they launched that investigation, what did they do? They took this dossier, dressed it all up, made it look like it was legitimate intelligence, took it to a secret court to get a secret warrant to spy on a fellow American citizen. And when they went to the court, they didn't tell them important facts, like who paid for the document. Didn't tell them the DNC and the Clinton campaign paid for it. Didn't tell them that the guy who wrote the document had been fired by the FBI. And yet they took it to a secret court to get a warrant to spy on a fellow American citizen loosely associated with the Trump campaign. And now we learn that they possibly paid informants to spy on the Trump campaign? When you and I go to court, we have to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. They didn't do that when they took the dossier to the court, and now we learn that possibly they paid informants to spy on the Trump campaign. And never forget this fact. In all those text messages back and forth between Lisa Page and Peter Strzok, we have that one on September 2nd, 2016. Where they say POTUS, President Obama, POTUS wants to know everything we're doing. And the operative word there is everything. That's a pretty darn big category. And we're supposed to believe We're supposed to believe the Department of Justice can handle this. That's what they tell us. Don't worry. We can investigate ourselves. We can handle this. Trust us. We'll be just fine. Really? Think about this question. Can Rod Rosenstein oversee an obstruction of justice investigation into the firing of James Comey when he's the guy who wrote the memo recommending the firing of James Comey? So we've been pushing for 10 months for this, and I want to applaud Congressman Zeldin for bringing the resolution to the floor, and Chairman Meadows is exactly right. This should be brought to the floor. We should vote on it, and we should tell the DOJ we are sick and tired of the runaround we've been getting from you guys. It is time to have a special, if this fact pattern doesn't warrant a second special counsel, somebody tell me what does. Somebody tell me what does. So this is exactly what is needed, and I appreciate the gentleman's leadership, and I want this, just like the chairman said, on the floor as quick as it possibly can get, and we can tell the American people we're going to do everything it takes to get answers to the questions that they have.
To be clear, a lot of these facts are still not known. We know there was one case of an informant related to this campaign. We also know that federal officials were trying to look into whether Russia was trying to infiltrate this campaign.
Yes, but we also know that because of this conspiracy theory that he peddled about spying, that people had to spring into action. And so Congress, the leaders of the intel committees and such, had to go meet with the FBI, or demanded to meet with the FBI and the DOJ about that. And when they came out of it, nobody said, aha, there's a smoking gun. They all said, I've seen nothing new. There was nothing there, even Republicans. So, in other words, hasn't the spy thing petered out? Why is he still hanging on to that when the people who see it's working?
He thinks it's working.
To what end?
It's working with his base of supporters, and that's what he cares about. And he tends to channel back things that he sees on Fox News and things that get shoved before him from conservative websites. He thinks that this is something that he needs to keep in the ecosystem front and center. He believes that it plants a seed of doubt in the Mueller investigation. Remember, that is largely what this all goes back to, is the special counsel probe into his campaign and into whether he obstructed justice.
And you see a number of notes that it plays well with InfoWars and Fox News viewers. And Maggie, one other thing that's so fascinating in your piece is it's also working among some establishment Republicans in sort of subtle ways. Look at Lindsey Graham.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Lindsey Graham, during the campaign, talked about how we did not need, I forget what the exact quote was, but it was something along the lines of, it is not good to promote kooks. That was basically the gist. Now, on quote-unquote Spygate, which is a term the president is pushing, Lindsey Graham is saying, look, there might be something there. We do need to learn more about this. And so what is the net effect isn't just that it's working, it's that it's working because he's the...
Were you talking about this Lindsey Graham? Because this Lindsey Graham here, who's with McNazi in Ukraine, who helped bring Ukrainian Nazis into power? You know the same guys that helped Barack Obama fake the election of another country? Oh, did I say that? Hey, you know what's weird about this too? Not only do we collude with Nazis to overthrow their country and fake their election, do you know who used to be the campaign manager for McCain? Oh, Manafort. Hey, do you know that he offered his services for free to Trump? Isn't that kind of strange how he did that? Some people might even think that it was like, I don't know, a setup. Interesting. What do I know? I'm sure that the mainstream media people are going to get to that sometime.
President. And so these are members of his own party who are now basically being pulled along. He moves the goalpost in one direction and they run toward it.
And so, the question is, generally, people who believe in conspiracy theories are not critical thinkers. They haven't done a lot of digging. They're not sort of trying to connect the dots. Something just feels emotionally intense. And you think, I'm going to run with that because it sort of feeds something. So the president...
Well, it also means that you're not responsible for anything. If there's a hidden hand out there that is out to get you, then you are not responsible for anything that has happened or the choices you've made.
Great point. And you're not responsible for doing any digging. I mean, some of the theories that he peddles can be found with like one Google search, like the most rudimentary of Google searches. But anyway.
So, wow, I just got to stop that there. That's ludicrous stupidity and lies. Wow. Thinking that you're going to lose your ability to have freedom of religion, or gays aren't going to be able to have their freedoms, or women aren't, or whatever the people running around with little vaginas on their heads were saying after Trump was elected president. That was a perfect example of people running around the country not digging and finding out what the truth is. That's them right there, running on emotion and not understanding the true ramifications of the events that have happened. That's what that was. To say that Trump's stirring up these people that are going to do that is just quite ludicrous. And like I said, the words that these people are using are subversion and sedition, and they do need to be tried for these treasonous acts. They do need to, because they are undermining the authority of the presidency and the United States government, because they're just flat out lying and passing on misinformation. There needs to be charges pressed against these people for doing this. If they're doing opinion pieces is one thing, but they're hiding behind the fact that they say they're in the mainstream media and that they have freedom of the press. Freedom of the press has a code of ethics, and one of them is honesty. You know, you're looking out for your fellow man, and you're making sure that you're taking care of them. And this is not taking care of them. This is setting them up for failure. This is making the situation worse. That's what this is. This is unacceptable behavior. Let's point something out too. Google, they don't let Americans see what the rest of the world are seeing, do they? Did they during Hillary's campaign? Did they get to see the real crowds that Hillary had? Or Bernie Sanders crowds? What happened at the polling in 2016 or 2018? Did they? How many states were over 100% of their polling numbers? And how can that be? Just saying. Strange, isn't it? Lies upon lies, folks. Wake up. Oh yeah, and Facebook. Psst, guess what Facebook is? It's a program developed by DARPA and the DoD, by InQtel, to track you from cradle to grave on all social media and document everything that you do and everybody you're associated with, and create a profile, an algorithm of who you are and decisions you'll make for predictions. Or pre-crimes, even. Sounds like a conspiracy theory? Yeah. But don't look it up. God forbid that. Just go off emotions. Run with that. Believe the mainstream media. Because that's gotten you far all this time. Those of you who know what I'm talking about, this is old news.
Point is he just not a critical thinker?
I don't know that he's a bigger Googler either, but I don't think
yes.
But what he is somebody who comes to he had look. There was a deposition that he gave in a case. I believe it was a lawsuit that he brought against Tim O'Brien, the journalist who had written a book about his net worth, and he said something in that deposition about how I believe it was that case, that his net worth could change depending on how he felt. Yes. That was an astonishing statement, but that told people the most, I think, on-point thing they would ever hear from his own mouth about how he arrives at conclusions. It is based on how he feels. That is really dangerous when it is coming from the President of the United States.
Can I ask you something you've been involved in for the last 24 hours or so, which is a battle with John
24
Cusack.
days, you mean?
Well, John Cusack, star of The Sure Thing, Better Off Dead, my personal favorite, High Fidelity.
Great. High Fidelity is a great movie.
But you claim they've all been ruined for you, in a way. This is a serious discussion right now.
I didn't say that, but that's okay.
It's a serious. Well, are you calling me a liar?
I'm saying you're misquoting me.
But that's that's what this is about. It's about whether or not, and you said it when you were talking about birtherism. The president is promoting a lie. Birtherism is a lie.
Right.
There's the difference between lie and falsehoods. Explain what's going on here.
So a couple of things. At my paper, our executive editor wants to use the word lie very sparingly, and I think that there are reasons behind that. I think the main reason is, there are two reasons. One is that a lie contains intent, and you are going at someone's intent when you say lie, number one. Number two, if you use a word 100 times a day, it feels to me like it loses its meaning. And I would offer a third one, which is, the most important thing that we can do is record for history, not for people's Twitter pleasure, what he is saying and whether it is truthful or whether it contains truth, whether it is the facts or whether it is not the facts. To me, the label is much more of a semantics game.
Well, the semantic games with the lying left media and the failing New York Times is what's true and what's not. You know, you went to a school that mentioned in its title ethics. Maggie. Apparently it didn't rub off on you. So, John Cusack. I met you once. I met you on a movie set. And if this, in fact, is what you're saying true, shame on you for not learning the truth. Shame on you. You could use a little QAnon in your life. A little truth. And I got to tell you, America's getting sick and tired of liars. Sick and tired of them. There's only so much of this Americans will put up with. Just out of curiosity, how many people die a day of gunshots? Look it up. How many people die a day of opioid addictions? So is it like one every 80 seconds? How many children disappear a day in America? Look it up. And once you find out those answers, then don't ever come to me or say again that the real problem in America are guns. It's the lying sons of bitches who aren't telling you the truth. And why aren't we being told about all the children that are being taken away every day in America? Why aren't we being told about the drug epidemic and how it doubled during the Obama administration? Or how did it triple the production of opium out of Afghanistan during the Obama administration, when we controlled every square inch of airspace and ground in Afghanistan. How can that be? How can that be? Unless you in fact did. Oh yes, we've been told this, that's right. Not by the mainstream media, but it's by IG reports and stuff like that, and other documents from the government, that Hezbollah trafficked the guns and weapons, children, drugs, money laundering in America, out of America, and in Cuba. And the Obama administration let it happen. Didn't stop them. Who's the sponsor of them? Who sponsors Hezbollah? It's weird. Oh, you know who does? Iran. Iran does. The weird part about that is they never stopped. But yet we gave them billions of dollars, didn't we? And Cuba, we took them off sanctions, right? Even though they had training camps there, right? Weird. Who does that? Who does that? Who's allies with Cuba and Iran? Russia is. That's strange. That'd be almost like, almost like if you wanted to help out Russia or collude with them, you would do things for them like, oh, wow. I see now. Yep, oh, Trump, watch out for Trump, because, yeah, he's a big old Putin fan there, ye. Hey, you know, Maxine Waters, you ever had any dealings with the communists, Marxists? Oh. Inquiring minds want to know. Some of us already do, don't we?
And I understand that there is a lot of anger out there, and I understand that there is a feeling that this president is not being held accountable.
Because John Cusack and the like want you to say call something a lie.
Right, and that's fine, and I understand that, and that is their right in criticism. But I think that, to me, the bigger issue is setting the historical record straight, and the label is less significant for that. In the case of birtherism, he had been carrying on about this for 5 years, and so it was kind of clear at that point. He had claimed that he had sent investigators to Hawaii. It's obviously clear that none of that was true. What you are dealing with Donald Trump in terms of how he promotes things that are not true is something different than we have ever seen with a president. He says so many things that are not true that you would literally be using the word lie probably 20 times a day if you were just going on a day that he gave speeches or if you were going through the tweets.
Oh, yeah.
To me, that loses power. And also, we are dealing with someone, and you know this very well, who tries to create his own narrative and his own fact set, which is what we're talking about with the conspiracy theories in the first place. To me, it is more important to show what is true and what is not. I understand that everybody is not going to agree, but that is my view.